What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn here with you. It is the Lowdown, brought to you by Pickdawgz.com. Damn, I can't even talk. Told you yesterday I was exhausted while doing it because once I listened back to it, I realized I probably made about 7 mistakes doing the podcast yesterday, and just how I was speaking. I'm listening to it going, what did he say? But somebody had asked me in the comments about, so Detroit's wind was blowing in on Thursday, but the weather algorithm loved the over, and that's obviously something I can't see. You wouldn't expect it. The only thing I can take away from that is in this new Detroit ballpark and the way that it's designed, a lot of hitters, professional hitters, say they love hitting there because the backdrop is better. And kind of give you an example, like if you ever watch in March Madness, whenever they would take those games and put them in a different arena that they're not accustomed to playing, and they got to walk up to the floor, and you look at the backdrop, like, you know, at least for myself, basketball player, you want to watch, you want to be able to see the backdrop to have depth perception. And I think sometimes you see teams struggle in those types of games. And I feel like we get a lot more under games when they go to new venues like that. But that's beside the point. You know, when you start looking at Detroit, it really liked the over. And I'm going, man, I'm kind of torn. But you'll see that from time to time where, and this is why I talk about it, it's not just one thing that you can look at to say, yeah, I can get an edge from it, but like how much better can it get? And sometimes in your research, you get shocked. The Chris Bassett thing hit. Feel a little unfortunate with the under. The Yankees made 4 errors. There were some goofy things that happened. The Jays made an error. Max Fried decides to go home, throws it. The catcher drops it. It goes to the backstop, 2-run score. Judge hits a bomb later on in the game. But, man, Bassett has just pitched unbelievably good against this Yankees team. And I had my perfect play, which if you guys hear me talk about it, I even posted in the weather update in yesterday's podcast. Cubs game, Cubs over, best spot, and it was a sweet spot at that. So I do post whatever it says. I don't keep anything from you. But yeah, it was off the charts good. Their home runs were hit at a 50% higher clip according to the algorithm. You saw Pasquantino with 2 bombs. Hell, you saw Matt Shaw, I think it's Shaw, hit the 9-hole hitter for the Cubs, hit one, and it was a fly ball out, can of corn at any other stadium. And you're watching it, it's going. You look at who was it? Was it Ian Happ maybe that looked up? It was like, I can't believe that thing just left the park. So, yeah, there was just a great hitting situation. And I call games like that lottery ticket games because I feel like it's worth it to take $20, throw it on there, take the over, take a couple over 1.5 bases, or if you want to get real cute with home run hitting weather, take some home runs randomly. And it doesn't have to be the superstars in the game because, look, those prices you'll see them at like, if it's a really, really good Wrigley game, and let's say, give me a power hitter, Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's in the game, and usually, let's say he's plus 350 to homer. He might even be plus 250 in that game, or even lower if the wind is just going out. And that was the other bitch of it. Like, the fact that the Cubs over was my favorite play, and then they released the lineups after I put the game out, and it wouldn't have changed anything for me. But Kyle Tucker and Bobby Witt were out of yesterday's game to make it a little bit more interesting. So please click the like and subscribe button. I've already started rambling, so I don't know if I told you that or not. It does help us out. If you click the notification button, it lets you know anytime one of these gets posted. As I said, I've got basically another week or so of podcast. Monday, August 4th, I have my throat surgery. Saw some people commenting. I appreciate it. It's a little nerve-wracking. The doctor I have has done more of these surgeries than anyone else in this state, at least in Maryland. So I feel like I got the right doctor. We'll just see what the recovery's like because I think it's going to be an absolute bitch, and I'm just curious when I'll be able to talk and how it's going to feel. So let's get right into these games. As Thursday was a short slate. Actually, before I get into the games, I do want to point out a couple of things for Thursday's slate. Love the Mariners over against the Angels. I was talking about Kikuchi. I even mentioned it on the morning show that if you bet him 10-plus Ks, he was like 7-1. It was like plus 700. So I threw that in some goofy parlays, mixed it in, talked about it a little bit. But I still like this K prop. His K prop was 6.5, and it was still juiced, or at least plus money. It was plus 110, plus 105. Either way, I mean, it's still an interesting spot with an Angels team and a Mariners team. I mean, the Angels strike out a ton. I think just recently the Rockies passed them as the biggest strikeout team in baseball. And then on the flip side, when you look at the Mariners, they got a lot of free swingers. And one of the things I noticed in doing some of the research, even though I love the over, was that Julio Rodriguez is 1 for 12 with a bunch of strikeouts against him. Cal Raleigh's 1 for 5 with a couple of Ks. I mean, Kikuchi is an excellent strikeout pitcher, but it's so weird sometimes because he has the ability to strike you out, he can get himself in bad jams and still work out of it because of the strikeout. So I don't know. I like him. Who doesn't like Kikuchi? I'm not going to get into all that nonsense. I had the Tigers. We talked about it, the weather with the wind blowing in. The algorithm liked the over, but I stayed with the Tigers there. I didn't think the line made a ton of sense with them being favored over the Jays, especially with how they were playing. I like Reese Olson, and I think he can limit some of the damage from the Blue Jays. And then the other one that I had was the Cardinals and Pirates over. Didn't like Yu Darvish. I bet is under Ks, along with a bunch of other guys under Ks. So some of the things I was looking at was, who was it? All these guys, Morton, Allen, Olson, Yu Darvish, Sonny Gray, all of them had distinct advantages according to my algorithm. But again, all of them were juiced way up, like minus 150, minus 160, minus 145. So it was kind of hard to, as I said, I don't like paying a big price tag on some of those props. I like to find better spots, but there's sometimes that I feel like the advantage is there that I can't avoid it. And so I did go against Yu Darvish on his under K prop. At 4.5, so we'll see how that plays out. And I liked Mike Trout a lot. I think Mike Trout was my favorite bat on the slate on Thursday to go over 1.5 bases. So let's get into today's games. I think there's some interesting spots, and we have some, what I would say, marquee matchups. So, like, I'm going to talk about the Mariners and Angels, the divisional matchup, the Cubs and the White Sox. You know, you get the Subway Series there. And then the Phillies, Yankees, and Dodgers, Red Sox. So we've got some, I hate saying blue bloods, but some teams that never really got to face each other all that much, but were very big teams, and with interleague play, you know, you would love to see that. Who wouldn't love to see the Dodgers come back to play the Yankees, and all the nostalgia from the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Yankees and all that stuff, all the lore. Seeing the Phillies go up there and play, and these are two good teams, the Dodgers and Red Sox. I don't know. I just enjoy that, so I figured it was good to talk about, and we do have an advantage in some of these games, so let's just get into it. So with the Mariners and Angels, 70 degrees, the wind's blowing out at 10 miles an hour. And from the surface, you might look at it and say it's Brian Wu versus Jose Soriano. So that's that's a very good pitching matchup. And I would agree with you. But I actually like the way both these teams are swinging the bats, and the fact that the wind's blowing out. I mean, Wu got beat up in his last start, I believe. And Soriano got beat up in 2 starts ago or something. I like the over here. That's where I'm going to lean. Even with the good pitchers, I'm sure that the total is going to be lower. I goofed the Cardinals game. I was saying I wouldn't be surprised. They're minus 150, minus 200. They ended up being like minus 135, 140 on Thursday. So, yeah, I totally geeked that one. But with this, I would be surprised if this totals 8.5, maybe a little bit lower than that. But that's where I think it's going to be around. I would still lean towards the over. Now, the Cubs at the White Sox. This is another intriguing one. Light rain, 80 degrees, so it's humid there. The wind is, I talk about this a lot, the wind is blowing left to right, but it also could be out towards right. But when you look at the angle of it, I don't know how much of a bump to the bats it actually is. But when I look at these two pitchers, I mean, Shota's just been downright nasty. I love watching him pitch. I like him better at home, but it doesn't matter here in this situation, because I think there's a ton of strikeouts in that White Sox lineup as well. And I've talked about Adrian Hauser. He is the most extreme ground ball pitcher, I think, in all of baseball. If he's got the ground ball working, gets the soft contact, I think this could be an interesting one, and just hope that the bullpens don't blow it. But I like the under here. I think the under is a solid play. That's where I would lean. Now, for game number 3, Phillies at the Yankees. Wind is out to right about 8 miles an hour, so that's obviously going to help some of those lefty bats. And from my understanding, I think we have 2 righties on the mound. It's 90 degrees there. Taijuan Walker, Will Warren. I think Taijuan Walker sucks so bad. And he's a guy that I've targeted. And I get so mad when I'm watching games with him pitching and guys keep making mistakes, swinging at bad pitches, or you get the proverbial umpire that just gives them everything off the plate. This looks like a sweet over spot to me. And again, total matters. All that stuff matters. I don't have that today as we're recording this Thursday afternoon. The Orioles game's getting ready to start or just started. So as I'm putting all this together, Will Warren, Taijuan Walker. Will Warren's been good, but I still like this Phillies lineup. I think there's a lot of pop there. And talking about the wind being out to right, that's where that jet stream is for the Yankees. So you look at some of those power lefty bats for the Phillies, like Harper, who's been swinging a really good bat lately. Schwarber's been hitting yabos and piss missiles left and right. I mean, he's just been he's been killing it. And I don't even want to talk about Trey Turner because every time I bet him over 1.5 bases, he walks 3 times. So just my damn luck. But with this game, yeah, I would look at the over. And I know Warren's been decent, but I still think both of these lineups, with the wind blowing out, can definitely take advantage of it. And we could see, especially the bullpens too, like Phillies bullpen, and it's not scaring anyone, in my opinion. I think you might see them trade for a couple of pieces. Yankees, they've been up and down, trying to figure it out with their bullpen. I thought they were going to have a really good one. I think when I was looking the other day, it's more middle of the pack, but I could be wrong. Some Yankee fans probably screaming, "You don't know what you're talking about," and maybe I don't when it comes to that. But I was looking at the breakdowns of it the other day because I do look at that stuff. Like you try not to get too far in the weeds, but like I think there is some serious advantages in stolen bases, and if you want to bet that stuff, because I used to use this for daily fantasy all the time, where I would check out Swish Analytics, and you can see which pitchers don't hold runners on and give up a ton of steals. And then when you end up facing a Milwaukee, a Washington Nats, a Boston Red Sox, I mean, you could look at a lot of teams that run quite a bit, then I would say, yeah, there's some inherent value on either betting stolen bases or putting some of those guys in your lineups if you're playing daily fantasy. But that's kind of where I'm at. But Phillies, Yankees, it's an interesting one. We're going to get to the Dodgers and Red Sox one second. One thing I did want to denote that might be a rain out in Pittsburgh. They're calling for over a 50% chance of rain. As I said before, I talked to a meteorologist that said when it says 50% chance of rain, it means 100% chance of rain for 50% of the area. I hope that makes sense for some people. And if there's any other meteorologists out there, you can tell me I'm wrong, but talk to a couple of them that says that's exactly what it means. So do with that what you will. I do want to tell people you can check out all the premium picks over at Pickdawgz.com. Lots of great stuff going on. Check out all the hot cappers. You can see who's killing it at this point. Pair guys up, whatever you want to do. Let's get to the free play. It's the Dodgers at the Red Sox. Right now it's slated to be 90 degrees, wind blowing out at 7 miles an hour towards like center/right, maybe right center. So you look at some of these lefty bats, especially at Boston, and that pesky pole is one of the shortest home runs you're ever going to see. And if the wind's blowing out that way, I think we can take a look at some of these lefties. Oh, what's that? The Dodgers have a couple of good lefties, Shohei, Freddie Freeman. Brian Bayo's been really good. He's going up against Emmett Sheehan. And with the wind being out, the conditions here, I'm going to tell you to take the over. But I do like the way Brian Bayo's been pitching. Emmett Sheehan, former former first-round pick, waiting to see when he finally figures it out as well. I don't know if his brother Hezekiah is going to be at the game. I'm kidding. Emmett sounds like an Amish name. That being said, I think the over being my free play is a good spot to take a look. I think there's a bunch of good plays today. And again, once this video is posted, I come back every morning, run my weather algorithm, and then I just write what it spits out. That does not mean that if you're looking at it because it says over and it says weather algorithm lean to the Cubs over, it doesn't mean that I'm definitely betting the over there. You guys can use it. It's an edge either way. I do think it's an advantage. So I'd rather be on the side of the weather than against it more times than not. But again, I like to put out as much information as I can. I'll also do some of that stuff during football season when we get there. Weather's important in football, but not like it is in baseball. But I do a ton of research on player props and things like that. And so far, I haven't been giving out player props for sale on the site. So I've been giving them out for free when I get a chance. And with football season, it'll be a lot easier because we'll have all the games, we'll have all the information. I can give out the lines. And each day I can break down whatever I want, baseball, football. I'll probably do a little bit of both. So appreciate you guys listening. I know I rambled and talked your ear off. But again, check out Pickdawgz.com. Lots of great stuff going on over there. There's Christmas in July still happening. And I think there's just a ton of good stuff that's coming out with all the sports going on. So take some of that information and help yourself out. But appreciate you guys listening to this. I will be back tomorrow with another podcast.